Hey everyone, it's great to have you here on our channel. Rock art has been studied for about 200 years, but it still remains a mystery. Today in our video, we're diving into the world of mystique and unraveling the cosmic mysteries of rock art. Giant rock paintings in America. By the way, do you know what petroglyphs are? It's simple. This is what they call rock paintings left by ancient people before writing emerged. We're kicking off our journey. Archaeologists found giant petroglyphs using drones. Not long ago, in places that are really hard to reach, on the border of Colombia and Venezuela along the Orinoco River, archaeologists discovered unknown giant petroglyphs, which are giant rock paintings, using drones. These are some of the largest and most mysterious petroglyphs in the world. The length of the Orinoco River is almost 1,600 miles. Some sections of the river go through hard-to-reach areas, so the research takes a long time, and not all the petroglyphs have been studied yet. Some of the rock images had to be photographed using a drone because they were so huge that they wouldn't fit in any camera. This area is home to a lot of snakes, and some of them are incredibly large. Sometimes you can spot a snake like that from a distance if you're floating down the river. And it's exactly those kinds of reptiles that are depicted on the slopes of the mountains. Well, no, not exactly like that. One of the rock paintings shows a giant snake about 130 feet long. There are also images of enormous Amazonian millipedes. Scientists still can't pinpoint exactly how old these petroglyphs are. They estimate that some were created around 2,000 years ago. The rock paintings of the Orinoco River still leave archaeologists scratching their heads. How? How could they have created this 2,000 years ago? A drawing of a snake over 130 feet long. The giant rock paintings of the Orinoco have completely baffled archaeologists. Rock art of Africa and Indonesia. So, where do you think the oldest petroglyph is located? In Africa. 73,000 years ago, someone from a prehistoric tribe in South Africa scratched a mark on a stone with a piece of ochre. Scientists have proven that this mark is indeed ochre. This mark kind of resembles our modern hashtag, although I think it's a stretch to call it a rock painting. Now this is definitely a rock painting. More than 45,000 years ago, our very, very ancient ancestors drew a huge life-size pig in a cave on the island of Sulawesi in Indonesia. And they really got it right. Of course, Indonesian and also Australian archaeologists got really interested in this site. And a little later, in the same valley, an Indonesian archaeologist climbed a tree, made his way to the entrance of a nearly inaccessible cave, and found another rock painting. Scientists claim that it's at least 44,000 years old. This is a rock painting of a buffalo hunt, and the image, by the way, is very clear. Now those were some artists. For thousands of years, and you can still admire the drawings, they've been beautifully preserved. So why did the petroglyphs found in Indonesia create such a stir among scientists? The thing is, the rock painting from the island of Sulawesi doesn't just depict random objects. This drawing is almost 16 feet wide, and it has movement and progression. Our ancestors' artists showed imagination, depicted mysterious creatures, and again we will return to the East. Our ancestors, who lived on the planet thousands of years ago, left behind a ton of unusual messages, depicting not just their lives, but also amazing creatures. Scholarly minds are puzzled about who exactly they wanted to tell us about. Some scientists believe that the oldest depictions of mysterious beings were the petroglyphs on Mount Hunan in China. They say they're 47,000 years old. Scientists suggest that these drawings depict interactions between humans and gods, or perhaps with some other unknown beings. Because on the rock, there are fantastic guests painted, radiating light, or maybe it's an aura. We're in Italy. There's a spot here that the locals call the Valley of the Gods. In the Val Camonica Valley, there's also a mysterious rock painting that's about 10,000 years old. They discovered this mysterious petroglyph in the middle of the last century. It has a strange scene, very much like a ceremonial meeting or farewell. 20 figures are lined up in a row, and across from them are several strange beings with glowing helmets. In another rock painting, we see two beings that look like they're in protective suits, and above their heads is a wonderful glow. Moreover, it's clear that they're holding some strange objects in their hands. You can see such depictions of aliens in almost all the caves of the Valley of the Gods. Some scientists suggest that this is a ritual depiction of gods, while others call them aliens from outer space. The depiction of mysterious beings in the Sahara Desert. The hottest continent on the planet is also full of mysterious petroglyphs. In Algeria, in the Sahara Desert, there's the Tasselai Inajar mountain plateau. The caves of this stone forest have preserved ancient rock paintings from the time when the Sahara was not a desert. These works of art from ancient times are over 12,000 years old. Archaeologists discovered them in the early 20th century in 1910. Centuries in 1910. The plots of these paintings told us that this was not always a hot desert, but that there was once a rich and diverse world of wildlife here. But the main thing is that there are paintings here that still baffle scientists. Some scientists have put forward the theory that people at that time were familiar with hallucinogenic substances, since the paintings depict incredible dancing fairy tale characters. Others suggest that these are depictions of aliens, while a third group thinks they represent gods. The debate among scientists is still ongoing. By the way, there are over 100 similar gods or aliens in the caves, and these petroglyphs are about 5,000 years old. And there's also a strange cave in the Sahara with drawings of people swimming on its walls. Where did the swimmers come from if there's sand all around? So, they weren't there then. So, at one time, there were bodies of water in this dead desert where people swam. Scientists estimate that the drawings of swimmers in the cave are about 8,000 years old. Rock paintings of Australian Aborigines. Images of mysterious beings have even been found in Australia, which is so far from all the continents of the planet. On the Kimberley Plateau, there are about 100,000 rock paintings. It's believed that they were created by ancient Aborigines. These petroglyphs also tell stories about gods or alien visitors with elongated bodies and a halo of rays around their heads. As they study individual petroglyphs, archaeologists are scratching their heads over why the strange beings on the rocks have no mouths and why they're wearing space helmets. Another mystery is the white faces of the gods. At that time, there were no white people in Australia. Ancient artists simply couldn't have seen what all the theories suggested. Some scientists said that primitive Aborigines painted Neanderthals without mouths because they couldn't speak. Sci-fi enthusiasts believed that these were aliens who had come to Earth. The locals explained the absence of mouths by saying that gods don't need speech to communicate. But the most interesting thing was the legend that the Aborigines passed down from generation to generation. Australian frescoes were discovered in the late 19th century. And scientists are still debating how old these petroglyphs are. The thing is, the past of the Aborigines is shrouded in mystery, but the rock paintings found indicate that this happened about 50,000 years ago. Onega petroglyphs. Not too far from St. Petersburg, on the shores of Lake Onega. And here there are rock paintings with mysterious or mystical beings. On several headlands, the most famous being Devil's Nose, over 1,000 petroglyphs have been preserved. The sizes of the mystical beings on the rocks range from tiny to 4 meters tall. And also, there are huge swans with very, very long necks, although who knows, maybe they aren't swans at all, but something yet to be figured out. The most famous petroglyph is the Devil, measuring 2.5 meters long. This mystical wonder slices through a huge crack, splitting the drawing right in half. Locals say that this crack leads to another world. Within a kilometer radius of this devil, phones and navigation often stop working, and the time on clocks either races ahead or, on the flip side, just freezes. Nobody, not even scientists, can explain what causes such an anomaly. On top of the ancient image, there's a Christian cross. No one, not even scientists, can explain what causes such an anomaly. On top of the ancient image, there's a Christian cross. Most likely, it was carved out by the monks of the local monastery in the 15th or 16th century to stop the devilish power. Rock paintings of Egypt, Turkey. We're in Egypt. The Egyptian pyramids have fascinated humanity for centuries with their grandeur. They hold secrets of the past that remain unsolved. In 2005, an archaeologist from Italy discovered strange rock paintings. He kept quiet about them for many years, not knowing how to explain them, and only in 2016 did he say that the drawings depict a scene of Christmas with a manger and a baby in a crib. But the thing is, this rock painting is about 5,000 years old. So, this petroglyph was created 3,000 years before the birth of Christ. How can that be? Do you know when the first smiley face was drawn? To find that out, let's take a look at Turkey. In 2017, the oldest smiley face was discovered there. It was found during excavations in the city of Krakamis. It's drawn on the surface of a clay jug that was made almost 4,000 years ago. Maybe someone decided to give their neighbor a gift, poured some lime into the jug, and scratched the smiley face on it to make it more fun to look at. The Neo Cave in France. These caves have been visited by tourists since the 17th century, and no one guessed that there were masterpieces of rock painting there. The cave wasn't of interest to scientists until a certain point. One day, a French captain, in 1906, decided to map out the cave and accidentally discovered rock paintings of animals that were located 800 meters from the entrance. 19 years later, another spot with petroglyphs was found in the cave. And 45 years later, they discovered a third chamber with ancient images. Can you imagine the size of these caves? For decades, people couldn't stumble upon the third chamber with the rock paintings. It turned out that the French petroglyphs are over 10,000 years old. Many of the drawings remain unsolved by scientists to this day, and one drawing leaves both regular tourists and scientists puzzled. Because it looks like a spaceship, like a flying saucer. How could ancient people have known? What does a spaceship look like? The solar system on the island of Pinos. While aliens were often depicted by primitive people, the stellar universe is very rarely found in rock paintings. After all, primitive man, who could see aliens, did not know that the Earth was round. So another extraordinary find turned out to be inexplicable. In the center of the cave on the island of Pinos, not far from Cuba, petroglyphs were found, red and black circles that are drawn so precisely, it looks like they were made with a compass, very similar to a cosmic map. A German scientist observed on March 22nd, during the spring equinox, a sunbeam through one of the cave's 7 ceiling openings hit the center of a round stone. Scientists proposed it was an ancient observatory. A rock painting shows the solar system with the 8 planets and their largest moons. Studying this phenomenon, scientists suggested that it was an ancient astronomical observatory. And one of the rock paintings is the solar system, showing the 8 planets along with their largest moons. On the left at the bottom, there's a strange object, and on the right, there's a red arrow with 2 tips. Who created the stone planetarium? Scientists believe that these drawings were most likely made by the first inhabitants of the island during the Paleolithic era, the earliest settlements of the indigenous people. The petroglyphs on the island of Pinos are unlike any that have ever been found in rock paintings. They have no analogs. After all, most of the petroglyphs in the Cuban cave are geometric designs. Rings, concentric spirals, diamonds, and squares. Scientists are still scratching their heads. What is it? The lost Atlantis? A visit from aliens? Or a vanished civilization? Research into the petroglyphs continues, and much remains unclear and unexplored. Our ancestors had contact with aliens, but then why don't aliens make contact with us now? A lot shocks not just regular folks, but scientists too. Will we ever get answers to these questions, and will the mysteries of the rock paintings be revealed? And if you're curious and love to seek out new things, then you have a great opportunity to dive into the search for unknown facts as soon as you become a scriptwriter on our team. Friends, you have the chance to join our team. If you have video editing skills, can voice over videos in Russian, English, and other languages, we want to hear from you. Or if you can write interesting scripts, we'd be happy to work with you. Just message our Telegram bot. The link is in the description. Or if you can write interesting scripts, we'd be happy to work with you. Message our Telegram bot. The link is in the description.